CTs have 4 automatic rifles to choose from: the Famas, the M4A1S, the M4A4 and the AUG. And the SCAR, but that doesn't count because it doesn't bang fast enough. Firstly, the spray pattern of each, which consists of 2 elements: the bit you can compensate for and the bit you can't. The bit you can compensate for is the pattern, which varies with each gun type. If you can learn this well enough, then you can cancel out the pattern by moving your mouse, resulting in a concentrated and very accurate load of bullets in your opponent's face, or more likely into a nearby wall. The bit you can't compensate for is the random spread of each shot in the sequence. You can't get around this unless you fire one shot at a time, since the first bullet is always fairly accurate. The more expensive weapons tend to have a larger pattern but lower bullet spread, which means that it's more down to skill than luck. So let's go through each of the guns and see how they fare. Firstly, without spread. This is effectively a cheat, and you won't be able to fire like this in games. I'm simply using it to show you the fire pattern. You'll notice that, as the weapons get increasingly expensive, the patterns get larger. And now again, but with spread. This is what you can expect if you were to fire in game. Notice that the pattern gets tidier as the weapons get more expensive. We'll now compare the pattern with and without the spread. Here's where the bullets will go in an ideal world, and here's where they could go when you're playing the game if you were to fire 4 magazines with each gun into the same place in the wall. Even if you compensated for the pattern completely, you'd still miss some of the shots because of this inaccuracy. Comparing the two, the Famas is the messiest, while the AUG is the most true to its pattern every time. But that isn't the end of the story. The AUG, much like the terrorists' SG-553, has a scope. Using this greatly reduces the size of the pattern, and you end up with the best of both worlds. The small pattern of the Famas with the accuracy of the AUG. The M4A1S has the option to remove the suppressor. In a previous video of mine, I concluded that it actually made the gun worse, and it still seems to be the case. Removing it makes the pattern larger and the spread worse. Keep the suppressor on when you're playing. Just to complicate things even further, the Famas has a secondary fire mode as well. I tested it out at a range of 1024 units, as well as firing 3 shots in automatic mode, and this was the result. The first shot from the burst is more precise than the first shot from automatic mode. In fact, it's more precise than any other rifle in normal fire mode, even the AUG. The second is also okay, and the third shoots way above the crosshair. Although the 3 shots from automatic mode are closer together, they spread out more horizontally. I'll let you make your own strategies from this information, though I'd like to mention that if you're in automatic mode, then you can continue to fire after the 3 shots are up, which may save your life in certain situations. On to first shot accuracy. These are fired a second apart from each other to ensure that they land as close to the crosshair as possible. The Famas managed this, which isn't exactly amazing, but as mentioned earlier, the first shot in burst mode is very accurate should you require precision. Here's the result of burst fire. The question is, how did I manage to extract just the first bullet? Like this! Yup, anti-aimbot. The M4A4 and the unsuppressed M4A1 are the same as each other and managed a very respectable result, which is a lot better than what the terrorists' AK-47 managed. The M4A1S with the suppressor makes it marginally more precise again. The AUG did an excellent job, which is to be expected, and even better once scoped in. Conclusion, the more you spend, the better the first shot accuracy will be. On to running accuracy. I fired 300 shots from each gun into a wall to see how effective they would be when spraying whilst running. Let me point out that it's not exactly fair. The weapons with the lower magazine capacities will show more first shot bullets, which will obviously be more precise, and the AUG, when scoped in, limits your running speed to 150 units instead of the usual 220 for the weapon. But hey, I still find the test interesting. Guess which was best? The Famas in burst mode, which is obvious when you think about it, since it's like firing in controlled bursts with other weapons. This does make it a better weapon for noobs who tend to hold down the fire button when running. One of the most important and controversial things to cover is damage. The Famas deals 30 base damage, the same as the terrorists' Galil. The M4A4 and M4A1S both deal 33, which is midway between the Galil and AK-47 in terms of damage. The AUG only does 28 damage, making it the weakest of all the automatic rifles. These are all still one-hit kill weapons against unarmoured enemies. When it comes to armour, all CT rifles but the AUG only inflict 70% of the damage. Since the terrorists' Galil and AK-47 both inflict 77.5, this means that the Famas is weaker than the Galil, and the M4A4 and M4A1S are doubly weak compared with the AK-47, which does both more damage and is stopped less by armour. The AUG can manage 90% armour penetration, which is still worse than the terrorists' SG-553's 100% penetration value. It can inflict one-hit kill headshots at a range of 200 units or closer, making it the only CT automatic rifle that can manage this feat. Different weapons have varying amounts of damage drop-off. Per 500 units, the Famas loses 4%, the M4A4 3%, the AUG 2%, and the M4A1S 1%. All terrorist rifles, by comparison, are 2%. Of course, lower values are better. Now for ammo capacity. The M4A4 and AUG have 30 with 90 in reserve, the Famas has 25 and 90 in reserve, and the M4A1S has just 20 with 40 in reserve. I'm not going to lie, more is definitely better, and if you go into battle with either the Famas or M4A1S, you must adapt your playstyle accordingly to ensure that you're not caught empty-magged. Perhaps opt for a $300 CZ75 as well to keep the party going once the initial rounds have been consumed. In terms of movement speed, the CT rifles allow you to move faster than the terrorist equivalents do. The Famas and AUG are the slowest at 220 units a second, still faster than the terrorist equivalents by 5 and 10 units respectively. The M4A1S and M4A4 both let you run at 225 units a second, 10 faster than the AK-47. I wouldn't consider this to be a major advantage since you can just switch to a knife and have 250 speed on either team, but I guess that every little helps. In terms of fire rate, all 4 weapons fire at 667 RPM, which is faster than the AK and the same as the SG503 and Galil. The Famas in burst mode is 800 RPM, but due to the delay between shots, it's effectively only 327. The AUG is still 667 RPM when scoped in. It takes 3.15 seconds to reload the M4A1S and the M4A4, 3.35 seconds for the Famas, and 3.8 seconds for the AUG, making them take considerably longer than the terrorist equivalents. Fun fact, the only CT rifles not to fire tracers are the AUG when zoomed in, the Famas in burst mode, and the M4A1S. This will add to their sneakiness. In conclusion, the Famas is cheap and inaccurate. The first shot of the burst mode is great for long range hits, but automatic is better for close quarters combat. Note the magazine capacity of 25, which may result in some frustrating situations where a couple more bullets could have saved you. The M4A4 is both accurate and powerful. It's more noob friendly than the AK due to its friendlier recoil, but it lacks the one-shot helmet kill. It's a decent all-round weapon that's easy to spray with. The M4A1S is cheaper than the M4A4 and also quieter. It's a little bit more precise and has less damage drop off, and as a result it deals a tad more damage at long range than the M4A4 does. However, these perks come at the price of magazine and reserve ammo capacity, which are lacking when compared with any other automatic rifle. The AUG is like the M4A4's bigger brother. It's more powerful and accurate and can deal one-hit kills at close range. Although the fire pattern makes spraying difficult, the scoped mode more than compensates. The only problem is that it's the most expensive automatic rifle on either team, so its use is best reserved for when you're on a winning streak and would like to entrench your position just that little bit more. Thanks again to SlothSquadron, who as always thoroughly checked this video and provided a lot of useful facts and figures that have made this video as comprehensive and as detailed as it is. Check out his spreadsheet of weapon stats in the description. Have fun!